Former President George W. Bush says domestic terrorists are as a big threat to the U.S. as international terrorists. Meanwhile, there's a new Taliban government in Afghanistan, and terror groups like al-Qaeda and ISIS are re-emerging. Joining us now to react is Republican Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. He's on the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and the Senate Committee on Finance. Thank you, Senator, for joining us. So we're hearing testimony by Blinken over the last couple of days about what they missed and how they messed that up. Meanwhile, on 9/11, I was just blown away to hear George W. Bush suggest that domestic terrorists are as big of a threat as foreign terrorists. What are your thoughts on that comment?
Obviously, we've been protecting this nation for 2 decades now from international terrorists and Islamic terrorism coming into the United States. I'm very grateful to the members of the military that have protected our nation for the last 2 decades from a major terrorist attack. But we've seen those terrorist attacks that have tried to be able to come into the United States from Islamic terrorism. That's been the big threat that we have faced and we continue to face. And a lot of people have this sense that somehow it's over. But we have recent intelligence that continues to show al-Qaeda is prone to be able to reform in Afghanistan again. This completely botched departure that Biden had in leaving out from Afghanistan left us even more exposed, left the terrorists even more emboldened into it, and it gave the Taliban the PR win to be able to say they beat the United States and pushed them back. And people can look at the video and believe that that's true.
Yeah, unbelievable. I can't believe we're even comparing what happened on 9/11 to anything that happened on January 6th. It's just ridiculous. And for the guy who was sitting in the commander-in-chief role at that time and remembering, being right there, I just remember I thought, well, wow, this is great. This is our commander-in-chief stepping up and really taking the fight to al-Qaeda and to terrorism, and now to somehow compare it, it seemed cheap. It seemed, I don't know. It felt awful to hear that on 9/11 especially. Senator, let's talk a little bit about, you're on finance as well, but I just read somewhere that we're sending $64 million of humanitarian aid over to the Taliban and into Afghanistan now, and I think people are pretty up in arms. Haven't we given Afghanistan enough yet?
Yes, we have. As a matter of fact, it's actually in the USAID program. They sent over $64 million. But now the United States is the single largest donor to Afghanistan to be able to help sustain them in that sense. And they're saying they're going to run through the UN. They're going to run through other organizations other than the Taliban. But the Taliban was prompt to be able to step out with their foreign minister and say, thank you very much to the United States for sending us $64 million. We have no idea how much other money has been sent to the Taliban. It's one of the things we're still trying to get to the bottom of. Blinken continues to say, well, we have leverage with the Taliban to try to get out this 100 American citizens that are still in Afghanistan that they abandoned and left there, and thousands of green card holders that are there in Afghanistan that were on their way to American citizenship that they had earned by working with our military, working with our diplomats there. We don't know what promises have been made to the Taliban, but I assume it's also thousands or millions or billions of dollars. We're waiting to be able to see what that is. But yeah, we need to have a widespread transparency here in this process to see not only with this president and his withdrawal and the failure of that withdrawal, but also what he has made promises to the Taliban organization that is definitely a terrorist thug organization that everyone has seen on full display.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of people. I think there's a senator and a congressman who are looking for the Biden administration to declare the Taliban a terrorist organization. We're going to keep our eye on that. Senator James Lankford, always good to have you on the show. Thanks for being here.
You bet. Good to see you again.